So, what is the marine environment? The marine environment means the physical, atmospheric, and biological components, conditions, and factors that interactively determine the productivity state, condition, and quality of the marine ecosystem. This includes the waters of the high seas, contiguous zones, transitional and intertidal areas, salt marshes, and wetlands within the coastal zones and on the OCS. So, what are the two major sources of marine pollution? Well, there are two, which are land-based sources and the shipping and maritime industry. So, what is inside the land-based sources are byproducts of industry, runoff from agricultural pesticides and herbicides, effluent discharge from urban areas, exploration and exploitation activities. So, what is inside the shipping and maritime industries? These are collision, grounding or accidental discharge, operational discharge, tank washing, ballasting or deballasting, machinery space discharge, and docking. So, what is the MARPOL Convention? The International Convention for the Prevention of Pollution from Ships, or MARPOL, is the main international convention covering prevention of pollution of marine environment by ships from operational accidental causes. What is the history of MARPOL? In 1954, which was the International Convention for Prevention of Pollution by the Sea of Oil, or OIL 54, was hosted by UK and was entered into force in 1958. Then in 1973, IMO adopted International Convention for the Prevention of Pollution from Ships, or MARPOL 73, and incorporated OIL 54 in response to the Torrey Canyon incident. Agreement was made on the contamination of sea, land, and air by ships. Two protocols were made. It needs to be ratified by 15 IMO member countries with a 50% gross tonnage of the world fleet. By 1976 and 1977, two tanker incidents happened, which was the Orkiola and the Hawaiian Patriot. So, by 1978, IMO held a conference on the TSPP, or the Tanker Safety and Pollution Prevention, and it includes the tanker design and operation in response to the two tanker incidents in 1976 to 1977. So, what are the objectives of the MARPOL? MARPOL desires to achieve the complete elimination of intentional pollution of the environment by oil and the other harmful substance to minimize accidental discharge. So, what are the annexes of MARPOL Convention? Annex 1, Regulations for the Prevention of Pollution by Oil. Measures introduced by IMO have helped ensure that the majority of oil tankers are safely built and operated and are constructed to reduce the amount of oil spilled in event of an accident. Annex 2, the control of pollution by noxious liquid substances in bulk. Both conventions require chemical tankers built after July 1, 1986 to comply with the International Bulk Code, or as what we call the IBC Code, which sets out the international standards for the safe carriage in bulk by sea of dangerous. Annex 2, the control of pollution by noxious liquid substances in bulk. Both conventions require chemical tankers built after July 1, 1986 to comply with the International Bulk Code, or as what we call the IBC Code, which sets out the international standards for the safe carriage in bulk by sea of dangerous chemicals and noxious liquids. Annex 3, Prevention of pollution by harmful substances carried in sea in package form. Such are regulations for the prevention of pollution by harmful substances in package form and includes general requirements for the issuing detailed standards on packaging, marking, labeling document, and stowage quantity, unit, expectations, and notifications for the prevention of pollution by harmful substances. Annex 4. Prevention of pollution by sewage from ships contains set of regulations regarding the discharge of sewage into sea from ships, including the regulations regarding the ship's equipments and systems for the control sewage discharge, the provisions of port receptions facilities for sewage and requirements for safety of survey and certifications. Annex 5. Prevention of pollution by garbage from ships seeks to eliminate and reduce the amount of garbage being discharged into the sea from ships unless they expressly provided otherwise. Annex 5 applies to all ships, which means ships of all of any kind whatsoever operating in the marine environment. And lastly, Annex 6, Prevention of air pollution by ships, limits the air pollutants contained in ships' exhaust gas, including sulfur oxides and nitrous oxides, and prohibit the deliberate emissions of ozone depleting substances. It also regulates shipboards implementations and the emissions of the volatile organic compounds VOC from tankers.